I have done many things. One of the things I did, I worked for MSPCC, Child Prevention and Cruelty to Children, as a family skill building worker. I was a social worker. I was called into the homes to help parents. I was a parent aide. But one day they gave me this paperwork and it said Dean Lafitte, and I said, oh gosh, another single father, and they said, you know, Vivian, he asked for our help. So I walk into the house. Hi, I'm Vivian. Hi, I'm Dean. 17 years together. The following week, he asked me to marry him. I went back to work and I said, we need to close this case because I'm in love with this man. 7 years ago, Dean was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer. The first year that we dealt with his cancer, we had never had experience with cancer. We just thought, okay, we'll do what we need to do. Go to the doctor, come here and there. No religion in our life. We had nothing. We just had each other. We're fine. We can do things. Then we noticed that our lives became so chaotic, like my job, working full-time, taking care of him and his illness and all this other stuff, that we fell to our knees one night and said, God help us, because we can't do this alone. In the meantime, my sister-in-law, Dean's sister, was coming to Granite. And she kept saying, you guys need to come to this church, you guys need to come to the church. And we were like, yeah, no, it's too cold today, it's too hot, I can't, it's too tired, he got chemo. So we would make all these excuses for why we wouldn't want to come to church. But every Saturday when she would call, like clockwork, you guys want to come to church with me tomorrow? No, no, no. Blah, blah, blah. The next Saturday, do you guys want to come to church with me? No. She never gave up. And it took us to realize that we couldn't do it alone. We fell to our knees and asked God for help. And when she called, we said, yeah, I think she almost fell off her chair. But we came to church, and 6 years later, we were still going to that church. I quit my job to stay home with my husband his last 2 years of his life. And during that time, I was feeling tired and fatigued, so I went to the doctors, and I said something's wrong with my body, and the doctor diagnosed me with chronic myeloid leukemia. So for me, it was like, okay, whatever. If Dean can go through what he's doing, I can deal with this. The toughest part, I think, was emotionally for both of us, because here I am, the caretaker, and then he became the caretaker for me. He was devastated. Dean couldn't believe. And I said to Dean, honey, this is our testimony. Do you realize that we've turned our mess into a message, and this is our testimony. God is going to come through for us. We went home on April 10th last year. Easter Sunday of last year, we renewed our wedding vows in hospice. And I felt that we needed to do that because when we got married with just the justice of the peace. There was no Jesus involved in our marriage. The amazing thing is that my husband had been in hospice for 3 days, and he was like in a catatonic state. He would be quiet, he couldn't talk or move. But when court began the ceremony about reading, his eyes opened. He kept saying, I do, I do, I do, and kept throwing me kisses. He kept saying, I do, and court had to say, not yet, Dean, okay. And he would wait. And then towards the end of the ceremony, we all clapped. And he had this burst of energy, and he clapped along with us. And to me, it was like, okay, he's ready to go home. So when Dean went home, I said to Pastor, I do not want to mourn his death, I want to celebrate his life. During that celebration of life, 12 people accepted Jesus as their Savior. So in his death, and then because of that celebration, people continue to come to Granite. You can't change what's happening. You got to let the past go in order to live for today. But I can show you how you can have an awesome future. So that's what my goal is to do that. I feel like I need to bring the lost home. I need to bring the lost home.